Here we go.
Okay.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Next Level Now, the podcast. And Tamika and Kirk.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
We've got the new digs.
We do. We do.
Really excited about this.
We have. We hopefully have upgraded a little bit.
We have.
Some better lighting. You can see these smiling faces. So yeah, we little different surroundings. It sounds different in here, doesn't it?
It does.
It really does.
It's exciting.
It's exciting. I'm hearing a lot of bounce off the walls.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
We'll put some tapestries up.
There you go.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So hey, today we have, I think, a really kind of exciting topic to talk about. And instead of really truly deep diving into stuff that maybe we're not so familiar with, we're going to deep dive into something that we are familiar with but don't know that we're not familiar with it. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
It does?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So the forgotten aspects of communication.
Ooh, I like that.
You like it?
Mm-hmm.
So have you ever, Tamika, spoken to James?
Mm-hmm.
And as you're speaking to him, watch him vacate the room?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
On more than one occasion.
More than one occasion. Happens to me as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I can be talking to my wife and all of a sudden she's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
She's just gone.
Ears are closed.
Ears are closed. Which then brings me to the question. What is to you the most important aspect of communication?
For me, it would be making sure that my listener is actually retaining and comprehending what I'm saying.
Absolutely. I would agree with you 100%. It came to me just the other day after speaking to my wife and watching her go through a whole series of questions, which meant she wasn't there when I was talking about it before. I realized that you can talk to an empty room. You can be very eloquent. Mm-hmm. You can use distinctive language. You can have proper pronunciation. Mm-hmm. You can do all of those things. But if there's no one there to hear you, it doesn't mean anything.
No.
And as the speaker, I believe, in my opinion, it behooves us to be paying attention and watching for that person, and then we have to help pull them back onto track.
Yes. Yeah.
So can you share an experience maybe with a family member or a friend where that's happened to you?
It's easy. With my kids, the twins, they're 15-year-old young men, and they don't like to hear me say, wash the dishes, take out the trash. But even if they're looking at me, they might still be thinking about something else. Gaming, friends, the sleepover this weekend, whatever it may be. So just saying, look at me, pay attention, and repeat back to me what you heard me say. And then they usually get upset and say, Mom, I'm not a kid. I'm not a little baby. I know what you're saying. Or
they, as my dad used to say, give it half a return.
Yes.
And we have a 15-year-old living with us, and it is the same thing. And they will deny that you ever said it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right?
I have one of those.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. How can that be? Now, we happened to be out the other night, and this, again, is paying attention, listening. And we were speaking to another friend of ours who was speaking of his wife and her ability, which he thought was amazing. She would have a television playing and a phone doing videos at the same time. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I must have married your sister. Because my wife does the same thing. But to me, the difference is when you're listening to two different things, it's just like doing two different things at the same time. You hear people saying, oh, well, I'm multitasking. You're not. You're not. You're turning one thing off to do something for a second, coming back. Yeah. The brain is incapable of holding more than one thought at a time.
That was surprising for me to hear. You told me that, and I was like, really?
It really is. And you start to think, because you can switch back and forth so quickly, that you think you're able to hold more than one, but you cannot.
Cannot.
And if you add that to the fact that you can have 70,000, I believe, is the number of thoughts a day. That's about a thought a second that you're awake, which means we have to be able to recognize that person, help them turn off and turn on to what you're doing.
Correct.
Do you have any techniques that you might want to use for that?
I don't, just off the top of my head. How about yourself?
For me, it's a quick thought through how important is what I'm going to say. And if it's not that impressive, if it's not that outstanding, it's not just a Me Too kind of story,
right. Sure.
then I have to literally force myself to cover the pie hole and let them talk.
Yeah.
And then when they hit a breath, if it's still not that important to me, I'll ask them a question like, and then what happened? And then I'll let them run, and they take a breath, and how did that make you feel? And let them run, and eventually they're going to run out of gas. They're going to recognize that they have overstepped their bounds, and they're going to say something to invite me back into the conversation.
That's a good point. Just kind of letting them get it all out and then bringing them back.
And circle them back. And as a great communicator, that's your job. Keep them on task.
Yes.
Yeah, it really is.
Sounds like a workout sometimes. With some people, it could be.
You know my wife. No, it is a workout, and it requires focus on your part, which is why I think it is a forgotten art in communication.
Sure.
Most of us think communication is verbal.
Right.
We think it's how we're speaking. I think it's the diction, the pause, and then moving. And that does work. It helps bring them back to some degree.
It does. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you could think off the top of your head that might work?
No, I really think asking them to be in the moment and to, I need your undivided attention.
It's hard though, because as you said, it's a workout, and we all know those people who you think you're not going to breathe. You're just going to keep talking. I know it. And you think, I'll never get a word in edgewise.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like you were kind of teasing about your son, grabbing them by the face and dragging them. Sometimes you almost have to do that to a certain extent visually.
Yeah.
You come in close.
Right. And then.
And you catch them at that point to kind of bring them back around.
That's
but
true.
It's difficult. You know, if anyone has any techniques that they've used on that, if that's happened to you and you have a way, short of slapping them in the face, reach out to us. Go ahead in the comments sections and DM us, whatever you have to do to let us know, because I'd be interested in learning.
I would.
Someone else has another technique.
Yeah, expanding that knowledge, what works, what doesn't work.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it reminds me, and I know I've told you this story, but of a story on communication. One of my favorite authors in all the world is Napoleon Hill. In his classic book, Think and Grow Rich, which I know there's a lot of people out there, they're not going to read it, but it was fabulous as far as how to be successful. But in the book, he's talking about this one particular moment where he has been introduced to a matriarch of society in New York City. And this would have been in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And that's when people were very, very much aware of the social pages. A lot of the ladies would get the newspaper and they'd immediately flip to the social pages to see who was doing what. It was kind of like Us magazine in the middle of the paper, right?
Yeah, good point.
And so they'd look, and here this matriarch had been introduced to Napoleon Hill, and in the paper she's quoted as saying he was just a magnificent conversationalist. He was just spectacular with what he could do. He was amazing, just paying him compliments up and down. And then in the next paragraph in the book, he said, I didn't say anything. He said, she was telling me about a trip she took to Europe, and I asked her where, and she told me about where she was, and I asked her, and then what did you do? And she told me, and she went on, and I said, and then what happened? And he said, I just kept asking those questions, And the end result was she thought he was a fantastic conversationalist.
That's amazing.
But yeah, it can happen. And again, they will run out of gas.
Yeah. But he was engaged. He was asking questions. He was engaging with her, asking her for more details. And that made her feel seen and heard.
It did. It gave her a boost. Mine could use it. Gave her a boost. But it brings a point up for me that I've heard you say many times to me. We have 2 ears and one mouth.
Yeah.
And that's for a reason.
Yeah.
That's for a reason. So listening, and as you said, being engaged, paying attention. And I always think of that, and we all have one, that kid that sat in the back of the classroom. Okay, and the teacher would ask a question, and that poor kid would just sit there. Wouldn't look, wouldn't move, wouldn't blink. And you're always tempted to go over and just kick him a little bit to see if he's awake. But you know, when you have that person that does that on you, or you're doing that, I guess, to another person who's talking too much.
Sure.
First of all, they know that you're not paying attention.
Yes.
That's very offensive.
Yes.
Very offensive.
Yeah.
Even if the story is the most dull, boring thing you've ever heard, you want them to think that they're interesting.
Sure. Yeah.
You know.
So what would you say, let's provide an experiment for our listeners.
Okay.
What would you say for them to do to try this out?
First thing I would do would be say, try this. When your spouse has given you this big long story and you're bored and you get that moment to say something, say, this is what I thought I heard you say. Is that correct?
So like recap.
Recap. First of all, you have to be paying attention. And secondly, you're either going to get corrected and be brilliant. Yes, that's exactly what I said, and you're going to get brownie points, or she's going to correct you. Okay, and that's the way that is.
Yeah.
How about you? Have you any suggestions for them?
I would just say clarify what you heard, which is what you said. Just, is this what you're asking me for? Or is, just clarifying. So I would say try that in the next couple days when you're having a communication with anyone. It could be with anyone. And just recap what you heard them say and make sure that what you heard is what they actually meant.
That is really, really, truly, to me, that's very important, because how many times have you been told something by a spouse, a child, a loved one, whatever, and they're telling you something and you hear it one way because that's maybe the mindset that you're in.
Right.
And it turns out that it was nowhere close. Nowhere close. And then they're upset with you and angry with you.
Right.
Because, and I heard it, but I heard it wrong. So yeah, that clarifying, paying attention, that's really, really important. I like that. What should people do as they find out what they've done on their experiment?
Keep experimenting.
Keep experimenting.
Because the more people you talk to, there are people out there that you meet for the first time, or you've met them before and maybe you haven't seen them in a while, and they've changed. Their mindset, their perspective has changed. So
it's just a good habit, isn't
it?
It really
just keep practicing that over and over again, and you'll be surprised at what you thought you heard, or what you actually heard them say, but they meant something completely different.
And for those of you who are really famous, I will check the social pages and see if anyone can know. Yeah. But it would be also really, truly helpful to us if you could take the time and message us, off of this video or on our Facebook page or whatever, to let us know that A, you did the experiment, and B, what your results were. How did it work out? Didn't work at all. Or, it worked beautifully. Whatever it is, I'm interested in hearing, and I know you are too. Yeah. Absolutely.
So with that being said, this is not goodbye. This is see you next time. Cheers.
Bye-bye.